Today's daf yomi is Menachos daf Lamed Aleph Menachos 31. And today's daf yomi, the Gemara is continuing our discussion of trying to find out where the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon ben Shazuri. So on the bottom line of Lamed Amabez, Amar Papa, where did we have a statement by the Amoraim that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon ben Shazuri, Asheda, as it relates to a wagon, because Rabbi Nachman Bar Yitzchak said Ayayin as it relates to wine. Rav Papa said Asheda as it relates to a wagon. This is a reference to the Mesachas, the Mishnah in Kalim, where the top of Amud Aleph, where it says about Asheda, Beishamai Omer, that in order, we know, Rashi explains, in order for the Asheda, the wagon, to be Tamei, it has to be capable of carrying 40, meaning to say that if it holds 40 seah of liquid volume, which is a kurayim of dry, then it's no longer a utensil and does not become tameh. But the question is, how do we measure it? Beis Shammai says, nimdedes mi bifnim, you measure from inside the utensil. Beis Hillel omer mi b'chutz. Beis Hillel says you measure outside the utensil. Modim elo ve'elo, they both agree, shein ovei haraglayim, that we don't include in the utensil the thickness of the legs in measuring the volume, or the thickness of the lip of the top of the wagon is also not nimdad. It's also not measured. Rabbi Yossi Omer Modim she'ovei raglayim va'ovei halavaz is in nimdad. Ubenein and nimdad. Rabbi Yossi says no. Everybody says we include the thickness of the legs and the thickness of the lips, but we don't include the space in between them. If the legs were more than a tefach, or a tefach or more off the ground, then we don't measure the stuff in between them. But otherwise, nimdad. And so otherwise, in between them, we do measure. And that's where we say the law is like Shazuri, according to our Papa. Menachos Yitzchak says, Ayayin. It refers to his statement about wine. It's because we learned in the Tosefta and Demai that, what did we learn? We learned in the Mishnah in Taharos that Rabbi Meir Omer Shemen Tchilo Olam, that if something which is Tamei touches Shemen, touches oil, it automatically becomes a Rishon Tuma, as a rabbinic decree. Chachamim Omer Af Devash. Chachamim say also honey is considered liquid automatically. Rabbi Shimon Shazuri Omer Af Yayin says also wine. You say also wine. We call the Tana Kamasavar Yayin low. You can say that the Tana Kam would say wine is not a liquid. That's not possible. Everybody knows wine is a liquid for sure. So Rabbi Shimon Shazuri Omer Yayin. He says only wine, and that's where we say the law is like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri, according to Menachos Bar Yitzchak. Tanya Amar Rabbi Shimon Shazuri Pam Achas Nisarav Tevel B'chulin. One time, my tevel was mixed in with chulid, basically something that he had taken truma a meiser from, and what happened was it got mixed up. So he had taken meiser from it, and then it got mixed up with the chulin. And then, so what's the situation? So now we have teva, which is demai, got mixed up with chulin, and he's no longer able to separate from it because of the chulin that was mixed in it. And even though the demai, biblically speaking, does not require meiser, nevertheless, since it's rabbinically speaking required, it's what we have a case is chulin min havilei min chulin hapatur al teva achayev. So we have something that's exempt. That's the chulin on the tevel, which is chayev. So what are we supposed to do under these circumstances? And I came and asked Rabbi Tarfon, he said, go, he says, go take more from the market and put it together. And so then you're basically putting it all together, and then you could tithe it. For Sabra Deraisa, because these are the position, biblically speaking, Ruba Batal, that the majority, that Tevel is nullified in the majority. Rov Ha'me'aretz Ma'atzor, and the majority of Ha'me'aretz are still tithing, are tithing. And so therefore you're exempting it because it's like from the exempted on the exempt. And so therefore he said it's okay. So Why didn't he say go and do it from an idolater? It was also you're under those circumstances you're biblically exempt from tithing. Only rabbinically are you required. He says no lafkia mian meiser. He says no. Biblically speaking, he's of the position. There's no you can't really acquire it. The idolater is not acquiring it to say it's no longer obligated in meiser. And then you're obligated. Then you're taking a tithe from something that's obligated by using something that's exempt, and that can't work. He said alternatively, take it from the idolater. He said there is the ability for the idolaters to uproot it from a tithe. He says there is a kinyan for idolaters in the land of Israel to uproot it from Meiser, and so therefore it's exempt. It's on the exempt of the exempt, and that's okay. But he said take it from them. According to this approach, you could do it that way. But why doesn't he say kach ashuk? Why don't they take it from the marketplace? Okay, Baruch Hashem, we're on the bottom of Amud Aleph. So he says, why doesn't he say take it from the marketplace? Why didn't he do that? Of course, this is the Ikadamri, this is the reverse. Just Kasavar in Rova Amaretz Master. And he said, no, there he says most of the Amaretz do not tithe. And so therefore that would be from the Chiyuv al Patur, and therefore wouldn't be okay. Shalchle Rav Yemer bar Shalmei le Rav Papa. So he said, Hada Amar Rabin bar Chanina Amar Ua Amar Rabbi Chanina Halacha Rabbi Shimon Shazuri below Od. So he sent a message. Hold on 1 second. So Gemara says that Rav Yemer Shalchle Rav Yemer bar Shalmei to Rav Papa, that which Rabin bar Chanina said in the name of Ua, in the name of Rabbi Chanina, the law is like Rabbi Shimon Peshazuri. So, and not only that, but wherever the Gemara says Rabbi Shimon, wherever it says Rabbi Shimon Shazuri, so it said something. The law is like him. Hold on 1 second. So is it even the case with this case of Tevel that got mixed up with Chulin, the law is like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri? I'm really in. Said yes. So the law is like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri even in this case. It's obvious. If he says the law is always like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri, it's obvious the law is like him. Why does he even have to mention this case? Mikamar b'mishnah seinu, he says, does he say that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri even in our Mishnah, meaning to say in the Mishnayos as opposed to just the Braisos, Kol Makom Shoshana Kamar, without specifying in our Mishnah. So therefore, the whole basis for asking the question was not good. So now we go back to the laws of a Sefer Torah and a mezuzah. Okay, Amarav Zeiri, Amarav Chanano, Amarav Kara Bab Shnei Shitin. Let's say there's a tear in the document that goes 2 lines into the writing. Yispor, you could sew it up. Shalosh, if it's 3, Al Yispor, you can't sew it up. You should replace it. Amarav Rav Zutu Rav Ashi, Hachi Amarav Yirmiyah Midifti Mishmei Derava, Had Amrin B'Shalosh Al Yispor, that which we said with 3 can't sew it. That's only where it's in an old parchment. Because if it's an old parchment, an old urea, it's going to look worse. But a new one, it's no problem. And when old one doesn't mean literally an old one. Doesn't mean a new one. So it means a new parchment means where they weren't treated with the afitz and the golnut juice. And so therefore, but the old ones is where they were treated with the golnut juice. So some say it's just the opposite, but anyway, it depends how the parchment looks. That's the bottom line. So then we say, begidin. This is only with if you're going to sew it up together with the gidin. The gidin is the parts that holds the body together of the animal, the different parts. That's what you have to use for sewing it. But with regular threads, that people use that are not made from Gittin, that would be a problem. Bye, Rav Yehuda Bar Papa. Bein daf or daf. Let's say the tear is between the two columns. Bein shita or shita, or between two lines. My, what's the halacha take? We leave it unresolved. Amar Rabbi Zeiri, Amar Rav Chanano, Amar Rav. So Rav Zeiri says the name of Rav Chanano, Amar Rav. Mezuzah shekasava shtaim shtaim. Mezuzah that's wrote 2 by 2, meaning 2 words on each line is kashera. That's kosher. Let's say you write 2 words then on one line, and then 3 words on the next, and then one on the next one. What's the law? For sure, it's okay because he made it like a poem, like the shira, like the Az Yashir, which is alternating lines between long and short, and for sure, it's okay. Mesa Gemara says also kashira shira kamosa psula, that you're not allowed to write anything else except for the shira, like the shira. Kitanya Yiva Sefer Torah, that's only by the Torah scope, but by mezuzah, it would be okay. Imar Nami Amar Abba Varchana Amar Rabbi Yochanan Vamrli Amar Avacha Barchana Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mezuzah Sha'asta Shtayim V'Shalosh V'Acha. The mezuzah they made 2 and 3 and 1. Keshera, that's kosher. V'Vachal Yasenik Kubo, you can't make it like a tent. Wide at the bottom and narrow on top. V'Vachal Yasenik Zanav, as long as you don't make it look like a tail, meaning wide on top and narrow at the bottom. That won't work either. Amar Rav Chisda, Al Aretz B'Shita Achrona. The words Al Aretz have to be on the last line. Some say at the end of the last line. Some say at the beginning of the last line, which is actually how we were passing. When it says at the end of the line, like you want the word heaven, shemayim, to be above the word aretz. And the one that says at the beginning of the line, so that heaven is far from the earth. Okay, and that is today's Daf Yomi, and Baruch Hashem, we'll pick this up tomorrow. God willing, I'll find a time in my schedule here while I'm running around the country to do the Daf Yomi with you. Yeshua Koach.